Okay, here are your notes for gradient sort, fact, theory, law. And I got my two predictions. I got my questions. I have not had time to come back and answer my questions and note if my predictions came true or not. So that's actually my next step. Here's my key. If you use my symbols, you don't always have to put a key, but I put it so that when you see these things, you know what these marks mean. So I put the gradient tool, I put some notes. These set of notes were weird because you didn't write everything, okay? Key terms. Notice that there was a couple where I actually wound up going to the dictionary and looking it up, even though they weren't necessarily in the video. And later, I came back to our theory and I said the why or how. This is all about what theory is about. Theory is explaining the why or the how. So I summarize what these things are telling me out here on the edge. So on this one, notice I didn't write all the math, partly because I never talked about the actual math in the notes. So I was like, well, that's probably not that important. And if it is important, we'll come back to it. And that's true. Okay. So if we are actually talking about the equations, you'll definitely need to write everything down. But I didn't talk specifically about them. So don't worry about that too much. So here's an example of a word I looked up. I did not explain what a phenomenon was, but I didn't know what that word meant. So I actually went to the dictionary. I went to an online dictionary and I wrote down the most scientific definition I could find. I might put a question mark beside that and flag it that I need to ask Mr. Franklin about that thing. If you're using sticky notes or something else, you can also flag it that way. And there's my summary. Okay. Now notice, concepts, answers, and examples are in 1.2.6 in Google Drive and Canvas. So there's not a huge concept section because that was what I wanted you to do with the little slideshow. Okay, so that concludes the video on the notes. Next, we will take a look at the gradient sort itself.